Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm here in the studio with Sam Tarplin and Nate Robertson. They are the creators of a documentary film called What Happened Here, The Untold Story of Addiction on Cape Cod, that was released last year on the Cape. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about reaction to the film and what's happened since it was released and what's in store for you guys next. But let's back up first and just talk about how you came to make this film. Sam?
Sure. I got clean in the summer of 2013, and it was about my fourth time trying to get clean. And at around 90 days clean, I was getting laid off from a summer job. It was in November. And I knew that I couldn't just be unemployed and sit bored around my house all winter and stay clean. I just know that's not my MO. So I started a photo project. You know, I know photography much better than I knew video. And I realized very quickly that I wasn't getting any kind of real point across with photography, still photos. So
now, was your theme about addiction at that point? Okay.
It was, and it was more on active addiction. And it just wasn't working. I couldn't find the subjects I wanted, even though, like 90 days ago, all my friends and I were shooting heroin. They weren't open to being put on camera, even if I said, I'll blur your face, whatever. So very quickly I realized that I wasn't getting any point across, and I was with my girlfriend at the time. It was Thanksgiving Day, and I said, what if I tried a documentary, like a movie? And she said, oh, yeah, that could be cool, thinking that I was just, having one of my regular bipolar moments.
She didn't think it would really happen.
Right, yeah. But it did, and I don't know, it kind of happened very quickly, the beginnings. I had some really mediocre video equipment, like instead of real lights, I had clamp hardware lights, and no real decent microphone, but I started a Kickstarter and a Facebook page, and without even trying, I invited maybe 20 friends, and it spread like wildfire, through my old high school friends, and then to their parents, and then to the Falmouth community at large, and then all over the Cape.
What was your goal with fundraising? The
Kickstarter goal was $3,000, and we didn't make even close to that. We made it like $1,100, but that was enough to get the basics, and from there, through old-fashioned fundraising, like networking, with a lot of help from people in the community. Particular thanks goes out to Rabbi Lieberman of the Falmouth Jewish Congregation. He supported this project the whole way through. Him and Troy Clarkson, they helped me raise. In the end, our budget was like $10,000, and it's not like I was living off of it, but it was enough to make a movie in my parents' attic.
And Nate, how did you get involved in this?
Let's see. I got clean on Cape Cod right in 2012, and I'd been in the area for a little while, just kind of finding my niche in the area. I'm not a native here. I'm a wash ashore, I guess. I'm from Rhode Island originally, and I found my way to Cape Cod to restart my life, I guess, and was having luck doing that. And one of the people I met while I was here was Sam. I remember the day that he started a Facebook page for this movie project he wanted to do, and it went from it was exponential. It was amazing. This is I guess the era of viral marketing, and this was one of those instances. It went from 20 to 100 to 200 to 300. I think it speaks to the importance of this issue and how many people are affected by it, that it wasn't something we even pushed. This was something that pushed itself. This was something the community rallied behind from the very beginning.
Sam, you attended Falmouth High, is that right? And so a lot of people there, and I'm sure there are ones who are having problems with addictions and ones who are affected by that because those are their friends and maybe community. Some have gotten clean, some haven't.
Yeah, that's actually one of the big reasons I started it, besides my own issues. A buddy of mine who I played briefly on the Falmouth High football team with him, and he was always like the nicest, quietest kid. And he got in trouble that summer for a few like armed robberies around for a liquor store. I don't even need to say allegedly anymore. He's convicted and in jail now. But the Facebook reaction to this scumbag, blah, blah, blah. I mean, whatever. The kid was sick, and that was one of the things that I wanted to show. That we're not all just like morally deficient people. We're in active addiction. We're sick people, and we get better. And
that's one of the really interesting things about this movie is you get the human side of it. It's this person is someone's daughter, someone's son, someone's mother, someone's sister, and telling their story and how they got clean.
I think that's where the name The Untold Story comes into play. We all see the police logs. It's all shared on Facebook. It's all in our face all the time. We all see about the armed robberies and, who's going to jail and who's
and
in
people
trouble.
often make disparaging comments.
Absolutely. It's kind of like it's like a public, shaming almost that happens oftentimes. And that's the stuff we see all the time. And
I like to use the term virtual stockade.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what it's become. And very rarely do we see the story of people who have found their way out and people who have rebuilt their lives, people who have struggled and found a little bit of redemption at the end of the road. That's not the story that's told oftentimes. We like the drama. We like the, it's like, I don't know.
What's her face threw her kid out of the car at Walmart when she stole the TV? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. That's the story that sells.
The juicy stuff. And the reality is that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people that recover from this. And
just on the Cape.
Just on the Cape, yeah. We live amongst you. We are your baristas and your landscape workers.
Definitely your landscape workers.
Yeah, we're everywhere, and our stories oftentimes aren't told. And for good reason. Addiction is something that has a lot of shame, a lot of guilt attached to it, and obviously a lot of public ostracism that comes with it.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm talking to Sam Tarplin and Nate Robertson about a documentary film they made right here on Cape Cod called What Happened Here, The Untold Story of Addiction on Cape Cod. What's been the reaction from the law enforcement community to this?
Positive. I was surprised how open they were to get involved. Yeah, Falmouth, the captain of the Falmouth Police. I think when we interviewed him, he was still a lieutenant, but now he's been promoted to captain. Jeff Smith. He's an amazing guy. Really, into the human side of addiction. I think he's open about the fact that several of his family members are in recovery or active, and he was great in the movie. I wish I could have used more of his interview. On the DVD, one of the bonus features is his full interview. But, yeah, overall, the law enforcement community has reacted very positively. Yarmouth is promoting one of our screenings now. And, I mean, Yarmouth, they have a reputation for being, tough on crime. And, I think it's actually kind of done a good thing for, a pretty strained relationship between the recovering and addicted community and the law enforcement community.
Absolutely. I think it's a dialogue that's really important to have. I've talked to people in the law enforcement community, and the overwhelming consensus is that, quite frankly, they're overwhelmed. This is such an epidemic here on Cape Cod that, they're not licensed social workers. They're not licensed, drug therapists. And they don't know how to deal with this, no more than any of us know how to deal with it. And they're doing their best to confront the issue, and trying to stay open-minded to, different methods.
Now, another group that you've screened this with, parents. What's been that reaction from the parents to seeing this? Probably pretty wide-eyed, I would expect.
Yeah. On one hand, I'm not trying to scare people, but on the other hand, it is scary, It can happen to anyone. That was a major theme of the movie too. You know, we're not all just like homeless living under benches in the common. We're everybody.
No, I remember actually meeting a couple parents too when we've done these screenings, and it's funny them being surprised that I was in recovery, like having that like, oh wow, okay,
but you don't look like you're on heroin,
but you're so nice, and it's like, all right, and the reality is like, so often we hide behind like the anonymity piece, or we don't like to talk about our own recovery or our addictions, that I think having an honest and open dialogue with the public, being like, hey, like, I'm just like you, you know, and I've had
or just like your son, or just like your
son,
sibling,
or your neighbor, or the guy that you invite into your house to, you know, to fix stuff, and like that we're here, we're everywhere, and we're no different than anybody else. We have the same moral compass, you know, as the rest of society. But the fact is we have substance abuse issues, and we need to be honest and open and start talking about that if we're ever going to honestly confront it. Another
very important group, your peers, how have they reacted?
Pretty positive. Friends were actually really eager to support this. In recovery, and those who have had no experience with substance abuse, everyone seemed to really rally around it. And I think it just shows that how many people are affected by it and kind of how confused everybody is and how to deal with it. It's been across the board and overwhelmingly positive reactions from everybody, from peers to parents to even the law enforcement community.
Yeah, to second that, it's kind of crazy that this movie didn't end up a complete fiasco, you know, since I didn't know what I was doing. But I haven't really heard a negative review yet. I've heard things, you know, once again, like on social media about like, oh, this doesn't get to the bottom of it. But, you know, I don't think that most people watched the movie who say things like that. But
another thing I was interested in, a question that came up at a screening I was at, was someone who asked whether the people you profiled, whether any of them have relapsed, and I think you said they had.
Yeah. Well, one, right now I know of 2 relapses. One is doing well, kind of back around in meetings, and the other's dead, actually. That was very recent. You know, I don't think anybody really knows, and I don't think they want to know whether or not it was an overdose. You know, at his funeral it was said unknown causes, but I mean, you know, the guy was 30 and otherwise healthy, so who knows? He was briefly in the movie. That was Luke with the plaid hat. Yeah, really sad stuff. You know, he was a personal friend too, and it is interesting, and you know, a kind of a messed up way.
Well, and it highlights, I think, how addiction is a disease that you don't really recover from.
Right.
Absolutely. It's a lifelong, you know, battle that we have to live with it.
Yeah, Luke had 8 years clean right before.
Now, what's next for this film and for you guys?
Well,
I know you're still screening the film.
We are.
People can see it.
Yeah, we've sold just over 150 DVDs. I've given plenty out, too, because, you know, I promised a bunch of people. I've given some free to friends. And, yeah, we've had a bunch of screenings with a bunch of people. But what's next? I mean, Nate and I have both kind of found our way into advocacy work. Mm-hmm. You know, I kind of stumbled upon it. I don't know if Nate would say the same. You know, I think Nate was kind of aiming for that ever since he got into recovery. You know, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, absolutely. I think, you know, the film was kind of the awareness step to bring a more of a public awareness and to enter into the dialogue so we could talk about it. And then the next step was to really advocate for ourselves. We have all these different commissions on Cape Cod. Even the governor started his new, you know, commission to talk about substance abuse. And these are all great, but what's amazing going to these things is this total lack of a voice from the recovery community. I mean, we're all it'd be like talking about civil rights without having a black person in the room. You know, it's just like this.
And I think there are people involved, heads of addiction centers,
Absolutely.
But not people who have actually recovered.
Yeah,
is I think what you mean.
Or people even going through the system. And I think those are voices that need to be heard if we're going to, you know, really seek to listen. We need to talk to the people who have been through the system, who are working with the system currently, people who are in recovery, who have substance abuse disorders. And I think if we're going to have any change, we need to incorporate that voice. So that's kind of what, or actually our most recent group we started is about. It's called the Recovering Youth Coalition. We meet once a month. Different members of the recovery community come, and we're just seeking to make our voices more heard in terms of public policy and the public dialogue.
And where can people find out more about that particular group if they want to attend?
We have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/RYC Cape Cod.
Yep, and that's the Recovering Youth Coalition.
And is that open to everyone?
Yep, open to the public.
Open to the public. Voting members have to fill out like a one-page application and get voted in.
Do you meet mostly in Falmouth or
No, it's
other
all
places?
at Nate's place of business, actually. The ASGCC, the Age Support Group of Cape Cod, their Hyannis office was nice enough to give us the meeting space every third Wednesday of the month.
The movie is screened occasionally by different groups around the Cape, and so people can keep an eye out and perhaps look at your Facebook page to see when the next screening is.
Absolutely. Every screening we put on our Facebook, I have been known to give away a free copy to a nonprofit who wants it. So, yeah, there are plenty of ways to see it. If you're a college kid looking to do some kind of report, I'll put it on YouTube for you to look at for a minute. And yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. I've been talking to Sam Tarplin and Nate Robertson, the makers of the documentary What Happened Here. Thank you so much for you guys for being here with me today.
No, thanks for the invite. It was good.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.